Lufkin, this is wonderful.
Hello and welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and got my guest co-host here, Dr. Michael Mantell, and we also got the executive producer, Dr. Michelle Cooley. We got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. So I tell you, whichever platform that you're watching us on, whether it's E360 Television, YouTube, LinkedIn, or over 6 live, different platforms. Welcome to the show. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the whichever platform you're watching us on, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. How you doing today, Doc?
I'm doing terrific. You know, I was thinking about this since KCBQ AM/FM has joined this. I hear from people in San Diego all the time saying, "Hey, I listened to the show," and it's such a great feeling. So it's just a privilege to be here with the two of you who are building this network. This is phenomenal. And today we're focusing on, you know what?
360 degree ahead. Now, I'll tell you what, hold that thought. And I'll get back with you shortly, Dr. Cooley. I ain't forgot about you, but I got to bring my main man, Todd, in. Todd, are we ready to do this?
Yes, and since it's 365 Health, we were putting avocado oil on our bags of popcorn today.
Well, we got the right guest for you to talk to about that.
All right, we're about to start here in 10 seconds. You guys ready to rock and roll?
We're ready to rock and roll, man. We're ready to rock.
All right, here we go.
FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And, you know, we got my co-host here, Dr. Michael Mantell. We got the executive producer, and who put everything together, Dr. Michelle Cooley. How are you all doing today?
Hey, doing great. We love 360 degree health. You know, it's so informative, and we got amazing guests who kind of educate us on things we didn't really have thought about, you know, as far as health and wellness and so many things that connect to those specific topics. So we're really excited about the guest today.
Well, Dr. Michael Mantell, he only picked the best.
You know what impresses me about the guest today? This guest can talk about all these medical things, which we're going to get into, but he envisions a life of love, abundance, and generosity. Isn't that the kind of doctor you want to take care of you? My goodness. I'm going to let Michelle get us going here so we can spend our time with this wonderful guest.
Michelle, can you please do the honors, introduce the title of the show, purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Oh, most definitely. I love the title of this show. 360-degree health, lies I taught in medical school. So Dr. James, we all are sitting down with Dr. Robert Lufkin. He's a physician, medical school professor, and New York Times bestselling author. He's going to talk about how conventional medicine is making you sicker, the linked causes of chronic disease, and the misconceptions prevalent in modern medicine, how lifestyle factors such as nutrition, sleep, exercise, and stress management can target the fundamental cause of chronic disease. And just so you know, Lies I Taught in Medical School is his book title. So Robert Lufkin, MD, has served as a full professor at both the University of California, Los Angeles, and University of Southern California Schools of Medicine. In addition to being a practicing physician, he's the author of more than 200 peer-reviewed scientific papers and 14 books that are available in 6 languages. Among his many inventions, including several patents in artificial intelligence, he developed an MR-compatible biopsy needle, which is used worldwide today as the Lufkin needle. His new book, Lies I Taught in Medical School, is a New York Times bestseller and has reframed how we think about metabolic health and longevity. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Robert Lufkin.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for those kind words. I'm a fan of your program, and it's a real honor and pleasure to be on it today.
We are so... Go ahead, Dr. James.
We're so happy to have you on, and your curriculum vitae, that's what I call it, because it's way bigger than a bio, all the things that you're doing. It's so full of absolutely fantastic things, and our viewers and our listeners are in for a treat. Just like Todd said, grab you about 10, 11 bags of popcorn, but put that olive oil on there, avocado oil, I think that's what he said. So Doc, can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what made you click, and why you're so passionate about what you do?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, JC. I started out growing up, as it turns out, my mom was a dietitian. She worked in hospitals, and that we followed religiously the food pyramid, low fat diets. We substituted margarine, high in seed oils and trans fats for butter. We did all the things that many people still recommend. But the one thing it also did for me was inspire me or give me a feeling that nutrition was important, that somehow it mattered in our health. And I thank her for that. And I thank her for a lot of things, but that's how that impacted me. And fast forward, I went to medical school and stayed on as a professor at the 2 medical schools you mentioned. And I spent basically, I'm a medical school insider. I'm really not a conspiracy theorist. I write scientific peer-reviewed papers. My lab has been funded by the federal government and pharmaceutical companies and device makers to the tune of millions of dollars. And as a professor, I also was fortunate to be able to practice medicine. And I also get to teach. And as often as not, of course, learn from residents and doctors in training as part of the educational process. So I'm really speaking from a position of being inside the medical establishment. And although my book is critical of Western medicine, I want to say before we get into it that I believe in Western medicine, that in the 20th century, Western medicine revolutionized our lives with the pills and surgery that were developed for, infectious disease, and public health measures have transformed our lives. And even today, if I get hit by a car out in front of my house, I want to have a blood transfusion and a splenectomy and get my bones set. So Western medicine has a lot to offer, and it's the greatest in the world. The problem is, in the 21st century, we have a new set of diseases called these chronic diseases that are reaching epidemic proportions. And although they were present in the 20th century, they're now exploded. These things include things like obesity, diabetes, cancer, hypertension, Alzheimer's disease, heart attack, stroke, and even mental illness. And the problem with Western medicine is that the same pills and surgery that were so effective in the 20th century, when we just apply those to these chronic diseases, they really don't work. They may work for reversing symptoms, but in many cases, the root causes are not addressed. And that's kind of the overview of the book.
Your medical students must be, I hope that they really have gratitude and appreciation for all that they can learn. I'm sitting here thinking an hour is not enough, but let me start with this question. Before we came on, I was chatting with Michelle about the Olympic athletes and what makes these Olympic athletes truly go to the top of the class. Now, you have written 200 papers, 14 books. You're named one of the 100 most creative people in Los Angeles. You've been president of the Society of Magnetic Resonance Imaging, president of the American Society of Head and Neck Radiology. It goes on and on and on, patents and so forth. Tell us, we have a couple moments, what is the mindset of Robert Lufkin that allows him to become all of these wonderful, or to achieve all of these wonderful things? What's that mindset you bring?
Well, I guess perhaps it's that what I do isn't really my job. It's just what I love doing. And so, I never want to retire. I want to keep doing this forever because there's nothing I'd rather do. I think the human body is fascinating. And more than that, I think it gets to the root of all of us, of our existence, and why we live and why we love each other. And, there's so much more that can be done with it. We're just really scratching the surface. As advanced as medicine is, I think we have a long ways to go. And in the last 20 years with the internet and all these things, and the book talks about this, there's been a revolution in our understanding of these chronic diseases and the importance of lifestyle, and even longevity, which is almost the penultimate chapter of my book, the second to the last one, where there's a revolution in longevity where many of us are going to be able to live much, much longer, and having a purpose in life and really loving what we do is really important for that.
I was going to pick up on that and say that you described a purpose in your life. You see the best is yet to come. You have hope and optimism, and you have a clarity of something you're going to continue to do because you love it. It's not a job. That's why the gifts that you bring to us will go on and on and on and on. So this is going to be a wonderful discussion. JC, you can see why I invited Dr. Lufkin on.
I'm excited already. He's talking about us, medicines, other things that are going to allow us to live longer. And we all want to live longer. So I'll tell you what, we're going to take a station break. But we're going to come back. And we're going to pick it up, and we're going to talk to Dr. Lufkin a lot more. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, go to the comments, that's any question that you might have, or pick up that phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, You truly know who you are? Love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
With an engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural Deep South town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. Mike, I have to tell you early, man, you hit a grand slam again with this guest. I mean, you do it on a regular basis.
Thank you. So, Dr. Lufkin, you write about making some major changes in your own life, reversing some diseases that you dealt with. And lifestyle changes is what you alluded to in the introduction. And these are changes you made yourself. You're not just recommending something you didn't experience yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that without getting too personal if you're uncomfortable with that? But what changes did you make in your lifestyle that helped reverse diseases?
Oh, no, I'm perfectly happy to talk about it. I think I was basically minding my own business, working in the medical school, when suddenly, unexpectedly, I came down with 4 chronic diseases that I went to my doctors and they prescribed prescription medicines for them that they told me I would be on these for the rest of my life. And that I asked about lifestyle and they said, well, it really, it's not that big a deal, that you need to come to terms with a lifetime of these medications. And that started me on the journey to question my beliefs and what many of my colleagues still believe. And it allowed me to begin exploring and looking at research that was published very recently about what can be possible with lifestyle. So I began changing my own lifestyle, and long story short, through lifestyle changes, I was able to basically reverse those chronic diseases to the point I went into the doctor's office and we repeated the blood tests and they couldn't believe it. They thought the labs were broken or something. But the point was I was able to get off prescription medicines for all four of these diseases. And they were diseases that many people in your audience may recognize. Things like hypertension or high blood pressure, things like pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, things like gout, which is an arthritis, and then things like abnormal blood fats or blood lipids that many people are given prescriptions for. So that was the message that's the message of the book, and it talks in detail about these. And the important thing that I didn't realize at the time that's very, very significant, I think, is that many of the medicines, and we have medicines that can be used in all these diseases, and they can be life-saving. And I'm not recommending anyone discontinue any prescription medicines without talking to their doctor first. But the point is, these prescription medicines, in many cases, they're life-saving in that they control the symptoms, like for high blood pressure or diabetes. But the problem is that they don't address the underlying disease in many cases, and many of the chronic symptoms continue to progress, and we're just sort of masking the symptoms that bother us, but the disease progresses. So that's why I think lifestyle is so important, and it's underutilized. And for many people, it's going to transform their lives. And I wanted to get this message out, and that's why this book is written. I've written other books, but they were all textbooks that were for medical schools and for professionals. This book is really for everybody. Hopefully it's readable, and it's designed for people to learn from me and not make the same mistakes I made, and see the power of lifestyle and what we can do with our lives.
Wow. I want to pick back up on that one, because you said that you made some modifications and changes. When did you know that the modification and changes were working, where you was able to, if it was high blood pressure, diabetes, and all that, you saw a different you over a period of time? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. The interesting thing about lifestyle changes, many of them, the effects are almost immediate, almost like nutritional things. When I change what I eat, I can see the effects within 24 or 48 hours, things on, glucose and effects like that. Some of the other ones take a little bit longer to happen, but they all happen in a relatively short time. And that's good news, because you could see that it's working. You can get feedback, and people are then encouraged to stay on the path to a healthy lifestyle.
Dr. Lufkin, how important it is to be your own advocate when it comes to your health. I mean, doctors are important and they have a wealth of knowledge, but a person also knows how they're feeling. And even though a professional may tell them, oh, it'll subside, but if it's not, how important is it to be your own advocate to make sure that your health increases and not stays the same as far as your discomfort?
I think it's number one priority. We're in a new era in medicine. It used to be that we would go into a doctor's office and he or she would tell us what to do, and we would follow it blindly in many cases. I think today it's a new era where many of these chronic diseases that I talked about in the book, the pills and the surgery really don't work. They, like we say, and the things that do work are lifestyle measures. And the problem is, lifestyle measures a doctor can't do for me. I have to do it myself. But it's a new era in the sense that I have agency. I'm in charge. I'm the CEO of my own life. And I would wager that I and every one of you know more about your personal health history than any doctor will ever know. The details of what's happened to you in your life, and you may not, have the understanding of physiology, but at least you know what's happening. And furthermore, each of us, every day when we get up, we get to be able to make choices about our lifestyle. It's a new day. When I wake up in the morning, I decide what I want to eat, what I want to put in my mouth, and to me, that's very, very empowering. I mean, doctors are important. I think we should utilize them for their knowledge and as consultants, but ultimately the buck stops with me as a patient. And I have to decide, because I know my life and my values better than any consulting doctor ever will.
Back in the 1970s, unbelievable, 1970s, I taught a course at UCSD Medical School that I called the Doctor-Patient Relationship Course. And they thought, what do you mean? What is he talking about? Ask more questions instead of telling them what to do. Now, you talk a lot about lifestyle changes. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine and Preventive Health and the Blue Zones and all these things are popping up all over the place. Let's drill down to some specific lifestyle changes that you suggest or that you find to be helpful. I said suggest. I don't mean you're telling patients what to do, but what lifestyle changes might you think would be of benefit to people if they adopted these?
Yeah, for me, there were four main areas that made a huge difference. Number one, is nutrition. And it's about, what we eat, but it's not only about what we eat. It actually, when we eat, can have a big effect. Things like intermittent fasting we talked about. So even if we don't change what we eat, if we just cut down between meal snacks and, maybe even skip breakfast, or like I do, I skip lunch too. And I have one meal a day with my kids when they come home from school. Wow. But you don't need to be that extreme, but by getting rid of snacking, that can help. And then I talk about nutrition, the three things that I do that have transformed my life: avoiding refined carbohydrates and sugars, which drive aging, and they drive all these chronic diseases that we talk about in the book. So that's the first thing. And that includes things like starch and flour as well. They break down into sugar. So that's a challenge for some people. But the other one is seed oils. Seed oils are things that the American Heart Association says are heart healthy, called vegetable oils. And these actually, in my opinion, drive inflammation, drive insulin resistance and oxidation, and they should be avoided. That's why we put all avocado oil instead of seed oil or butter on our popcorn, which is the healthy option.
We'll have to let him know he's right.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, yeah. And seed oils are everywhere. They're in all junk food. They're in all salad dressings everywhere. The last thing is grains. Now, grains, I don't have celiac disease. I'm not gluten allergic, but there's strong evidence that many adults have an immune response to proteins in grains that drive inflammation, even at a subclinical level. So because of that, I avoid grains. And also, grains in the US are soaked in a weed killer called glyphosate, which is outlawed in 35 countries for health reasons. And of course, they have a lot of carbs. But, I'm like anybody else. I love baked goods. I love, all the things made with grains. But when it comes down to it, I love my children more. I'd rather see see. So just placing values like that help me move along those ways. So nutrition was a big step, and people see the results of that right away. The other three, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I went to hear the other polls of what you talk about, but we just have a couple minutes left. But it's so interesting, because what I would say to a client is this, because when you said, I love my kids more, that's like, wow, it's like incredibly important. You say to somebody, what do you think would happen if you continue eating this junk food? And what do you think would happen if you stopped? The patient makes the decision. That's the key here. But JC, we need to hear the other polls of what lifestyle changes Dr. Lufkin has gone through, and we can pick up on. I've learned a lot.
We're going to hold that thought, because we got to take a station break.
Okay.
And we're going to come back, and we're going to pick it up. We're going to continue with this. And also, I want to ask him about his book, Lies I Taught in Medical School. So I'm interested in that, and I know our viewers and our listeners are interested in that as well. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is pick up the phone, dial 1-888-344-1170, or go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Country.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z, and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
You refuse to become a victim of life's circumstance and dare to become an overcomer, because a bigger, better, and more impactful life awaits you. Get the new audio version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, by Dr. James Cooley, on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Listen up. It's Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. It is your life. It's your life. And Doc, I tell you, you educating our viewers, our listeners, and I can see the numbers on my end. A lot of people are tuned in, watching, and I hope they are pulling all of this in. Because in order to really do some things, in order to extend our lifetime, in order to become better, for us physical, mentally, and emotionally, we all have to make changes somewhere down the line. And change is tough for many people, but we have to do that. And a lot of things that you're talking about, a lot of people are experiencing problems, diabetes, high blood pressure, a lot of things, but they don't want to make any changes. They think it's just going to miraculously disappear. So can you talk about that a little bit? It ain't going to go away unless you make some changes.
Yeah, that's a great question. I thought when I began this journey, I thought it was just a matter of educating people, like, don't eat sugar, cut back on your sugar and, your seed oil, certain dietary things. And I have several friends who are, very well-educated people. They understand the principles of it and went over the things on sugar. And then the next day I see him with his cup of coffee, adding sugar to it. And I realized that for many of us, and myself included, I'm a recovering junk food addict. I have to say, if it's in the house, it's just like you don't have alcohol in an alcoholic's house. I try not to have junk food in my own house, despite what my teenagers bring home. But the point is that there are a lot of emotional things at play that drive our addictions, because it is an addiction to our lifestyle and the way we choose to live our lives. And these addictions are driven by many things in our past. We all have trauma as children, and these things come to affect us and affect the choices we make now. So for some of the lifestyle changes, people find it effective to be in a coaching program or to be in a community, certainly like you have the community here that people can be a part of, and they can get their friends to hold them accountable and this sort of thing. But, even on a even more extreme thing, there's an addiction drug called naloxone, which is given for physical and drug addiction. People are now using it for junk food addiction. Low dose naloxone, naltrexone, also naltrexone, not naloxone, but and this can actually help people get off the physical addiction of junk food, but other aspects of their lifestyle as well. So it's simple, but it's not easy. And we all need to, recognize the challenge. But if our motivation is strong enough, things like you talked about purpose, things like thinking of our children or our people in our lives that we want to be around for, whether we have kids or not, but just people that matter to us, these things can be powerful motivators, and it's a journey.
You mentioned other types of lifestyle changes, and just for our audience, I want to be sure we cover those real quickly. So you mentioned sleep, physical activity, stress management, prevention. Ideally, those are important as well. Correct?
Yeah, in fact, you can fix your nutrition, get off all the junk foods, and fix everything else. But if your sleep is disordered, that will derail you, or similarly, any one of these pillars. So we really have to address them all. And in stress management, I would say includes mindset and purpose, which arguably may be the strongest factor out there for all of us in the lifestyle changes we make.
I think the title of my book that I wrote, my last book, is called "The Link is What You Think." So I always dive into what people think in order to make these changes. Now in the video that we saw, you mentioned rapamycin, and you write about interleukin, right? So let's talk about that, because wait a minute. You mean maybe I don't have to sleep and physical activity and eat well and then stress. I can just take rapamycin and live to 200. Tell us about this.
Yeah, well, yeah. Those of you who don't know what rapamycin is, it's a drug that affects a basic switching molecule called mTOR. And the amazing thing in writing this book is I realized that all these chronic diseases, the 4 that I had, and then the many other ones I mentioned, all have similar root causes. In other words, if I do lifestyle, it will improve my chances with Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, everything. And the way it works is by affecting mTOR and other basic signaling molecules, which actually increase our longevity. So if you think about it, these are the diseases that statistically end our lives, these chronic diseases for all of us here. And if we delay them or reverse them, we'll live longer. So there's a pill that will do many of the same things. It's called rapamycin, and now they're looking at another one called interleukin 2. And the temptation with these pills is we all want to take a pill. I'd rather take a pill than, go exercise. It's human nature. But the problem is the pills have limited effects, and even rapamycin, as powerful it is for longevity, and in all animal models, up until humans, you're showing significant lifespan extensions just by taking this drug. But I don't recommend anyone take rapamycin, without making lifestyle changes first, because you're missing a huge opportunity. Because as good as rapamycin is, you're going to get much bigger effects with lifestyle. I take rapamycin, but I would never do it without doing the lifestyle first, because there's synergies between rapamycin or presumably these other drugs that will only get stronger when we have our lifestyle in order. So that's the message there, hopefully.
It's a good message. It reminds me a little bit of like the Ozempic and the Wegovy and all this stuff craze. It always says works with diet and exercise as required. You can't get away from that, no matter what you're shooting with.
You can't get away from it. You know, I want to change the topic just a little bit. I want to talk about your book. First of all, before we talk about it, I want to run this promotion that you sent me.
So this is an exciting time. I think the message is metabolic illness is something we need to pay attention to. I think it's fundamental in all these chronic diseases that ultimately determine our longevity. And while rapamycin is a great drug and it does a lot of things, really the way to change metabolic disease and change longevity is by changing our lifestyle. The great thing about lifestyle is it puts the power back in our hands. Every morning when I get up, I get to make a decision about what foods I eat, when I eat. I get to make a decision about do I exercise, what I do with my life, and I'm suddenly in control of my life, and it's a big deal. I think this is a revolution, and hopefully the best is yet to come.
Let's talk about your book. First of all, how do you come up with the title? I know what we're talking about right now, but everything we talk about is so blended in the book. And you said lies that you taught in medical school. Can you explain that?
Sure, James. Yeah, full confession. It's a little bit of a clickbait title that gets people's attention because people say, wait a minute, did you really teach lies? And I have to say, I believe in my heart that human beings, healthcare professionals and most human beings don't want to harm people, and they don't intentionally do things. But there are, we talk about in the book, numerous conscious and unconscious, pernicious financial and other incentives that cause us to cause sometimes not the best advice, in my opinion, to be given. So the book title was intentionally provocative to get people's attention. Maybe if a few extra people read it because of the title, then it's worth it. But it does speak to a famous quote by one of the greatest doctors of all time, who was Sir William Osler, who 120 years ago famously addressed a graduating class of medical students on the day they were going to become doctors after they finished medical school. And he said, gentlemen, and back then, they were mostly gentlemen. He said, gentlemen, I have a confession to make. 50% of what we've just taught you in medical school is wrong. And furthermore, we don't know which half it is. And that's
right. The best.
And that speaks to, science and medicine. Our knowledge is continually evolving. We're constantly reevaluating. And the challenge is to stay up to date and make sure we get the most current information. And that's what the book is about these breakthroughs that have been happening that, many doctors are still not aware of, and it's still not being taught in many medical schools.
So hold it though, because I want to pick up on that when we get back, and I'm sure Dr. Mike got a lot of questions as relate to that. But we got to take a station break. I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation, this education, this lecture, and guess what? It's free. It's not Medicare. So I tell you what, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do, just go to the platform that you're watching us on, go to the comments, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone, dial 1-888-344-1170, KCBQ, AM 1170 Answer, FM 96.1. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Is your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
There's much truth in a journey.
Dr. James JC Cooley. James Cooley Show. It's your life.
You in advance for your contribution.
Country Boy, City Boy, a journey that ain't over yet. The true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural deep South town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, a journey that ain't over yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I am having so much fun here. Hey, Todd, you got to give me. Tell us what you think so far. And first of all, do you have any more popcorn left?
I ate all my popcorn, but I did use avocado oil instead of butter. So, but no, I think it's really important. All of our listeners, you need to take a health into your own hands, and you can't put it in the back burner. You have to put it in the forefront and be proactive. Don't wait till you're unhealthy and then try to get healthy. Be proactive. Be proactive now and get healthy.
That's true. If you see value in living a long life, because a lot of people, at least the ones that I work with in my practice, I don't care. I mean, life's over. I did it. We're talking to people who have a spark of energy. And I want to just talk about this for a moment, Dr. Lufkin, because we've been talking about physical well-being, chronic illnesses, and we know that 80% or more of chronic illnesses can be prevented. But the area of mental health, which you touched on at the beginning today, I want to pick up on that because recent research is showing that emotional illness, mental illness, psychiatric illnesses stem from oxidative stress, reduced and inflammation, and that can be controlled by these very same kinds of lifestyle changes that you're talking about. Can you expand on that a little bit in terms of how this affects our emotional well-being?
Yeah, that's a great question, Michael. And it's one of the things that just blew me away in writing this book, that based on the work of physicians like Chris Palmer, who's a psychiatrist who just wrote a book called Brain Energy, which is fascinating, or Georgia Ede, who's another psychiatrist who wrote a similar book. What they discovered was that psychiatric conditions, serious things that people are hospitalized, like manic depression, schizophrenia, these conditions, because of their similarity with seizures, many of the drugs with seizures actually are used in psychiatric conditions. And one of the accepted treatments for seizures, the oldest treatment at all, is fasting or going into ketosis, which is a metabolically healthy state, which these lifestyle changes that the book talks about puts you in. So what they did was they found that by putting these patients on a metabolically healthy lifestyle, they found for some, not all patients by any means, but some patients were able to have dramatic reversal of their psychiatric conditions to the point where they got off all medications and even left the hospital, went back to their families and got a job, returned to society. So this is revolutionary. And these studies are now being reproduced. Chris Palmer's at Harvard. They're being reproduced at Stanford and independently. And this is a revolution in psychiatry. And we have a chapter in the book that talks about it, but it's the idea that this healthy lifestyle can actually make us mentally healthier is so powerful. But the question that comes up to me then is, most of us, thankfully, don't have clinically diagnosed psychiatric conditions, but we all have our daily ups and downs dealing with our spouses, our kids, our friends, our employers, our employees that, make us angry or depressed or anxious. You can't help but wondering if this metabolically healthy state can improve psychiatric conditions. You wonder how much we can all benefit mentally in mental clarity. And I've noticed it in myself. I mean, since being on that, my mind is much sharper. I regulate much better. I get angry less. I get anxious less. So it's so exciting. And thanks for that question. It's one of the most exciting things out there, I think.
Yeah. Well, JC is a big advocate for running every day.
Hold on. Walking.
Oh, I thought you were a runner.
Oh,
that was my nice way of like giving you a little nudge, like maybe.
No, I walk 5 to 6 miles a day. But
nice.
If I could run, I got 2 total replaced hips, so I had to do a lot of lifestyle changes in order to stay healthy, in order to have the mental mindset and the focus to be able to change some of the things that we were doing, because I did not want to be 400 pounds out there trying to walk. and so some adjustment had to occur. With many of us, we have to look at the realizations and reality. If you want to continue to have the lifestyle that you're having, we must focus on mental, emotional, and physical well-being. And all 3 of those things, I think, are so important to the betterment of a better life. What are your thoughts on that, Doc? And we got about 2 minutes.
I agree totally. Today was the first day I ever went to a gym to lift weights. I'd never touched a barbell before. And now I've started a weekly training program, 3 days a week for an hour, lifting weights. I felt like a truck ran over me today. I'm excited about it, and building strength training, because as we all get older, that's one of the important things, to be able to pick up your kids and lift your grandkids, and also just to be healthy, metabolically healthy. It has many effects on glucose and all the things in the book. But yeah, it's a new journey for me. We all get to turn the page and try new things. It's so exciting. But yeah, James, totally, I agree with you.
Hey, Doc, can you tell our viewers and listeners how can they get a copy of your book?
If you don't want to buy the book, you could download a free chapter at my website if you want. It's robertlufkinmd.com, and see if you like the style, if it's well written. You can find it at your local library or Amazon or your Barnes and Noble or local independent bookstores. It's widely available. So please check it out and send me feedback. Let me know what you think.
I'm certainly going to do that. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. This has been so inspirational and educational. And I'm sure that our viewers and our listeners got a whole lot out of this. Now, I have to do this. I know
what he's going to do.
Hey, Doctor, man, if you have time in your extremely busy schedule, Dr. Mike and I would love to have you back on the show again. We would love to have you.
I'd love it. You guys have great energy. I love this program. I love the work you're doing. It would be an honor and a pleasure to be back anytime. Just let me know. Yeah. And I'd like to have you guys on my podcast too, as well. So
that'd be great. Absolutely. Terrific. You'd love that. So I just want to make sure that our listeners understand this book goes, we talk about beyond meat. No, this goes way beyond that beyond meat thing. This is about living your best life and having a health span, extending the health of your life. And I recommend it highly. And please, again, Dr. Lufkin is offering a free chapter. Take him up on it. Read it. It's fantastic. You will not be sorry.
You will not be sorry. So I want to thank you, Dr. Lufkin. I want to thank Dr. Mike for always bringing these absolutely fantastic guests. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely outstanding show. I'd like to thank my studios in San Diego, my producer, Todd. It makes us look good all the time, Doc, every day. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's your life, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And also Saturday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the best of James Cooley. And Sunday prime time at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. prime time. I tell you what, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life.